Hello everybody and welcome to another edition of the Max and JD NBA show with me, Max Whittle.
Me, JD Dyer.
It is official, Kevin Durant is a Golden State Warrior. It is unbelievable. JD, 2-year deal, $54.5 million. There's a player option on the second. He released the news today on the Players Tribune. What are you thinking?
Well, we all knew going into this off-season with the 2016, with the expansion in the player salary cap, that this was going to be one of the most lucrative and exciting trade seasons of all time. But I feel like Kevin Durant has shaken the whole NBA universe today by signing with the Golden State Warriors, and there is no other reaction apart from surprise, disappointment, shock. But me personally, where do I stand as an NBA purist, as someone that really enjoys watching competitive basketball every night? I'm a bit disappointed, of course I am, because Kevin Durant is a franchise player, one of the best players in the league. You're talking about top 3 in some people's categories, and for him to turn around and jump ship from a very, very strong franchise at OKC to an even stronger franchise at Golden State, it disappoints me, it disappoints a lot of neutrals, but like I said, it now excites the rest of this trade season, because everybody that turns around and looks at themselves as serious contenders for the next 3 to 5 years as an NBA franchise now needs to make serious moves.
Good news for anyone out there who jumped on the bandwagon of the Warriors this season, because now you can
get
say
a 35 shirt as well.
You can say I'm not a bandwagon jumper because I was pre-KD era. I was pre-KD.
Max, tell me what your first reaction was.
My first reaction was honestly not a load of surprise. I'm not going to say I told you so. I realised the Warriors were close to the Thunder, but I did think Oklahoma were going to re-sign Durant. Had so much going for that franchise. He's the face of the Thunder, and he had a chance. They were closing in on a title. I think next season was their time. But now, I am just super, super intrigued and excited to watch this 4-headed giant, which is Green, Curry, Klay Thompson, and Kevin Durant. I think it's Galactico-esque. At least the Warriors players recruited Kevin Durant. With Miami, it was a kind of scrambling of the forces. It was only Dwayne Wade. You've already got 3 legitimate superstars in Golden State, and you're adding a 4th.
We all knew going into the 2016 off-season with the increase in the player cap space that this was going to be the most lucrative and the most interesting off-season with trades we'd ever seen in the NBA. But today, Kevin Durant has shook up the whole of the basketball universe by signing with the best team in basketball.
Wouldn't that be Cleveland?
Okay, we can turn around and bring it back. And again, you want to have this debate, but I'm just going to turn around and tell you, as you know, as we all know, with the regular season record, Golden State are the best team in basketball. So, with Kevin Durant signing with them today, I don't know how this shakes up the whole world, but we know that this universe is never going to be the same again. So I'm going to ask you, what was your first reaction when you saw the news?
Well, so I was going to spin. I'm going to admit that right now. I was going to spin. I got off the tube and I saw a million texts. One was from you. KD's going to the Warriors. The players on that Warriors team have wanted him for several months now. That was reported by a lot of people. Draymond Green, after the conference finals, went back to him and said, look, we beat you, now join us. But I still thought the best option for Durant was to stay with Oklahoma. And what this does for his legacy going forward, especially if they don't win in Golden State, is one thing. So that's the first question we're going to ask, and I'll ask you, is does he going to Golden State, similar to what LeBron James did with going from Cleveland to Miami in 2010, does this make him worse than LeBron James?
I'm going to tie in your question with just a quick statement that I want to turn around and say about Kevin Durant. My initial reaction to this whole transaction was disappointment. And I'm going to explain to you why. Because the NBA, as we know, is like no other league. It's so competitive in terms of every night or every other night you're up against a bunch of individuals that are talented, can push you to the limits, and the worst teams can beat the best teams sometimes. And as we've seen with the playoffs, the favourites don't always win. But today we've changed that in basketball, because Kevin Durant, along with the other Golden State Warriors, have now arguably completed what is going to be a dynasty.
Yeah.
And there now you're talking about 4 of the best top 10 players in the league are now playing for the same team. Now, me, how do I take that as a news reporter, as a news presenter? I'm disappointed, and let me explain to you why. Because Kevin Durant was 3 games. He had 3 games against the Golden State Warriors in the semi-finals, and he had the chance to turn around and take his team to another level with Russell Westbrook. And he elected, it was the actual conference finals, but he elected to then jump off ship and being 3-1 up and jump off ship and turn around and take the easy option of joining the Golden State Warriors.
I
just want to turn around and say, if you are an elite superstar in this league, you are an elite leader, and you have what is known to be a phenomenal team surrounding you with Enes Kanter, Russell Westbrook. You have Ibaka at that point as well, and I'm understanding there was a lot of shake-up around the OKC Thunder franchise, but I'm just saying, you were on the verge of completing everything that you wanted to do when you came into this league.
But I would go against that, because I would say that he has now joined a team in far more talented than Oklahoma.
But that's the easy option.
It's the easy option for you and for me to say that, but you have to go inside Kevin Durant's mindset here. He's looking at it. He's been with Oklahoma for 9 seasons. He's never played for anyone else. Seattle in the first year, but it's the same franchise. And he's looking around. And you just said that this team was exceptionally talented with Kanter, with Westbrook, with Adams, but that doesn't sound like Green, Curry, Klay Thompson, who have been to back-to-back finals.
I can respect that.
Kevin Durant doing this, making this decision, he's going to go back into free agency next season going to probably sign another huge deal with Golden State. These players have clearly shown to us already that they can be a team. Curry does not need to shoot the ball 25 times to be happy. He's not going to go and cry away. Klay Thompson has already shown that he can be second fiddle to Steph Curry. Draymond Green can be the man some nights he doesn't have to be. This is why Durant going to Golden State works more than it would to any other team. I would also say that whatever team Durant did join this summer, whether it had been Cleveland, San Antonio,
Boston.
LA Clippers, Boston, he would have made that team probably title favourites. But with Golden State, it's a whole nother level. And I also think the fact that they lost the finals to Cleveland did help, because if Durant had joined a back-to-back champion, it would have been a little bit more like, yeah, you've just joined them. If that's easy, you can follow in with the champions. But the fact they've lost now, they've got to prove themselves again.
Regardless of what you say, he's still bandwagon hopping. Because at the end of the day, everybody knows, any NBA purist will understand that Golden State is still clearly the best team in the NBA. Clearly. So for Kevin Durant to turn around and leave ship after being 3-1 up in the conference finals against that same team.
Who they lost to.
Okay, but he's 3-1 up and you are the elite superstar. You're the leader on that team. You're the man that everybody turns to. And you had 3 occasions to beat one team. 3 occasions. And you failed, especially in Game 6 you failed.
That might have told him I should go and join this guy. What I'm going to say, Players Tribune is where he released his statement of him joining the Warriors. And what I got from that was he is confused. He is slightly sad that he has to leave this city because he has done a lot for Oklahoma. His mum also tweeted out, and she's going to be sad that they leave. But Durant, what he means for this city, not just this franchise, is so much, because it was a team that had its ups and downs. Obviously, leaving Seattle, the controversy that led with that. Durant was the saving face for the Thunder. And what does this do for his friendship with Russell Westbrook as well? Because
I'm going to bring that into your question. Now, Max really wants me to answer his question, so I'm going to turn around and say, where does Russell Westbrook's relationship? We'll deal with Russell Westbrook as another section, but I just want to turn around and focus on Kevin Durant right now, and where does this leave him in terms of his legacy at OKC? He's still the founding father of that franchise. He's still the first prominent face of the franchise as they turned from Seattle. So I just want to turn around and say, Kevin Durant, in terms of, have you cemented your history in the OKC franchise? Of course he has.
Well, no, he had to win a title for me.
Okay, but wait, he's still, as I said, he's still one of the founding fathers. He's still one of the original people that have put OKC on the map. Oklahoma is now a worldwide brand. The Thunder is now a worldwide brand. There's people in England, Japan, the USA, Canada that are appreciating wearing a 35 jumper.
That brand will go away instantly when Durant goes, and especially when Westbrook leaves after next season, because the Thunder become a team with no real superstar, and Oklahoma is not a city. It's not an NBA location where other players and free agents will look at and say, I want to go there. It's not LA, it's not New York. And you've seen what's happened to LA and New York. Huge cities, huge basketball markets that haven't managed to bring any big players in because they just simply can't win anymore. And if you strip the foundation of Durant and Westbrook's probably going to sign somewhere else next season. This actually shakes the whole infrastructure of this franchise. The fact that they left Seattle, and there was so much heartache from Seattle fans, they'll be rejoicing now, I think. The fact that Oklahoma, as a franchise, have to look at their future now. They've never been in a situation where they haven't had 2 cornerstone players.
That's very true.
Golden State now, for me though, if you're looking at next season, clearly the favourites. Well, he can work on his post game. He'll still probably play small forward, power forward, even shooting guard. There's so many different lineups that Steve Kerr can play with. Harrison Barnes, who signed the offer sheet with Dallas, he's now going to go to Dallas because Golden State, basically what they were going to do if Durant didn't come to the Warriors, they would have re-signed Barnes, so he'll be out.
I feel like Harrison Barnes is, and I'm not going to try and disacknowledge anything that Harrison Barnes has done over the season because he was an important cog in that Golden State Warriors machinery, but at the same time, his performance in the game, in the finals especially, kind of sealed his fate as to not being an elite small forward within the NBA and not being able to handle the big pressure of the big occasion. So I feel like Harrison Barnes kind of sealed his own fate at the end of Game 7, but at the same time, I'm going to pose a question to you now. And this is something that I've had a lot of time to think about and a different angle that's been given to me. How do you feel about maybe Klay Thompson taking a secondary role and leading the second team? Would that work within that Warrior system? Because then you still have your three franchise or three major players playing, but then you have an elite shooter still leading the second team.
Thing is, I don't think you need to. It's an interesting question. I think throughout the season, Steve Kerr has the ability to take Klay off the bench because Kevin Durant is going to start 100%. Steph Curry is going to start
100%. Draymond Green's going to start 100%.
But I feel like you can fit in Klay for sure with this. He's going to lose Azili, and I'm not sure where the Warriors go forward with bigs now because Andrew Bogut is getting older. He's hurt. He missed the last few games of the finals. Does he re-sign with his team?
No, he's going to go.
If
they're going to clear him for cap space alone.
The Warriors could essentially, who already have changed the way basketball is looking in the modern day, they could essentially play a lineup every single night where you don't have a traditional big man in the game for more than 10 minutes. Because I think Klay Thompson will start, to answer your question. Oh, for sure. Why would you bench Klay Thompson? But you can fit Durant in with that. Because look at Oklahoma. They had shooters around.
So you feel like they're going to stick just Klay Thompson just primarily on the wing? Because right now Klay Thompson is helping Steph with Draymond run the offense. But Kevin Durant's going to want to have his hands on the ball running the offense.
That's the only
Steph's
problem
not going to change. And Draymond's still going to be probably one of the best playmakers, big men in the league. So what are you really saying to Klay Thompson? Now you're talking about your fourth in control of running the offense for a team.
Kevin Durant never had an issue because when Russell Westbrook is the primary ball handler for that team, he's always got the ball first. Some possessions, or a lot of possessions actually, Durant is not going to see the ball, which sounds really crazy, but it's true. Go back and watch the film. Russell Westbrook will take the ball from one baseline to the basket on the other side. It's
explosive.
He'll score. That's the way he plays. Durant and Westbrook, no matter what they had off court, on the court was the issue because could they play together going forward? Durant must have thought about this, and it was part of his suggestion. And this is what go back to the Klay question. He's spoken to all these players on the pitch, and they've said to him, "I don't mind." They would have said to Durant, "We don't mind sharing the basketball. Look at how we played the last 3-4 seasons." Durant wants his touches. Klay wants his touches. Everyone wants his touches. But the fact that they have a system in there where they pass and they cut and they move, I just think
it's going to be very difficult to turn around and make all of those players happy. I mean, everyone is presuming that this franchise is going to hit the ground running, and on paper it should. But let's not really get it confused. It's still going to be very difficult to make Kevin Durant happy in terms of the touches he's getting per night. Klay Thompson needs to still feel like he's an important cog in this mechanism, and Steph Curry is the reigning MVP. So you're talking about making all of those happy as well as Draymond still getting his touches. It's going to be very, very difficult. The only person that is really happy on this team now is Iguodala because there's less pressure on him in terms of offensively. He can solely focus on himself defensively.
I'm not sure I agree because if you look at, say, Boston Celtics, for instance, when they signed Ray Allen, Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce was already there. Kevin Garnett was not going to Boston. And then somehow Danny Ainge got Allen to come into Boston and then Garnett's mind was changed. The difference with this situation is that all these Warriors players that we're talking about have gone to this meeting. They want Kevin Durant to play with them. They've told him how it's going to work. They really, really want him. They were so egocentrical and obsessed with their touches, they would not want Kevin Durant to come. But they know that with him, and he's young, he's 27 or something.
He's just hitting his prime now.
All of these guys under 30, they have had just a huge disappointment recently with the 73 wins and losing in the finals, but they could go on now and win 3-4 championships in 5 seasons.
So my next question to you, Max, is where do OKC move forward from here? Because obviously you've got Russell Westbrook going into free agency next season. You've also traded away Serge Ibaka, who's probably the third best player on that team, would have been looked at last season. So now you've traded away 1 and 3 of your franchise players.
Yeah.
Where do you go from here?
So Ibaka was not getting on with he was basically tired of the system he was going into where he became just a defender and a rebounder. He wanted to be more scorer, be more part of that offense. So he didn't get on with Durant and Westbrook. So I didn't think that trade they made
didn't surprise me.
We haven't even talked about this. I'm glad I remember because Victor Oladipo, that was a steal for the Thunder just to give up Ibaka to Orlando. And that move told me that Durant had definitely signed off on that. Because there's no way that Sam Presti makes any move without Durant saying, yeah, that's great. And he surely would like to play with a team with Westbrook, Oladipo,
You're talking about getting even more of the basketball.
is a better team than last year, and
Much
they would have
better
been
team.
primed because Steve Adams took over Ibaka.
And Cantor is there as well. It would have been a very good team.
That's more, in a way, that's more surprising than joining what a great Warriors team is, leaving that trade they pulled off.
It was an absolute steal, as you turned around and said, from OKC. I mean, Ibaka's obviously expressed his desire to move away, and he would have moved away anyway because he was going to become a free agent at the end of next season. But
from here, though, the franchise goes backwards.
It's over.
Russell Westbrook doesn't want to stay in Oklahoma if Durant's not there.
It's
no
over.
way.
I mean, everybody needs to understand that the franchise of OKC now, they might as well understand that this is a rebuilding season, and they need to push forward because any sort of aspirations to be champions or to be elite or to bring that first ring into OKC is now over. You've let go of your franchise player, it is over. I'm gonna and let me explain to you why. I feel like the cogs initially fell off when they traded away James Harden. I'm not saying James Harden is not a difficult person to play with, and I'm not saying James Harden is not sometimes questionable on a night, but you're talking about still one of the best offensive players in the league. So to trade away James Harden, I thought that maybe a little bit of unrest is,
but they were
their
trending
background
up again.
in the,
They were
but
trending up again.
They were growing together again. Cantor came on strong. Adams came on strong.
Yeah.
You were thinking to yourself, maybe this team could live without James Harden. But then to move Kevin Durant, it's over.
So it's official. Kevin Durant is a Golden State Warrior. I still can't believe it. JD still can't believe it. What have you got to say about it? Comment on our Facebook page, facebook.com/NBA Black and White. And remember, we are posting via YouTube now, so please subscribe to our NBA Black and White channel.